Hi, everyone. My name is Kate DeConnick. I teach in the Department of Theology and Religious Studies at USD, and I've been asked to speak to you for a few minutes today about a course that I taught this past fall, which involved a community engaged project called the Community Fellows Program. So the course that I taught was called Understanding the Homelessness Crisis. It was actually a course that I co-taught with Mike Williams from political science, so he gets really a lot of the credit for what I'm going to talk to you about today as well. And the program that we developed, which is known as the Community Fellows Program, was a program that was meant to move beyond just having kind of guest speakers who come once and speak with students and kind of, have that one meaningful experience, to prolong that into a semester-long experience where members of the community actually became part of our class. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about the origins of that program and then also kind of the outcomes of it as well. But it is good to know that this was an advanced integration course. So, Mike was teaching from the perspective of political science. I was teaching from theology and religious studies, and we were using these two disciplines to really think about the situation of homelessness here in San Diego and across the nation today. Okay. So just to start, one of the main partners that we worked with in establishing the Community Fellows Program was a group known as PATH. So they are People Assisting the Homeless. They're a nonprofit that exists in downtown San Diego. And I wanted to just really stress that in order to develop a meaningful partnership, so a democratic, reciprocal, and kind of mutually beneficial partnership, this took a lot of years before anything like the Community Fellows Program became a thing. So there was initially, when I first became the co-director of the Urgent Challenges Collective, which is an initiative at USD that studies and does advocacy and other work around homelessness. One of the first groups that I got to know was this group PATH, and specifically Sigrid Struden, who is the volunteer coordinator there. She's actually a USD alum. And we spent a lot of time just getting coffee, getting to know one another, finding out more about the programs that PATH offered and how they might work in conjunction with some of the things that we were doing at USD. So there were a whole bunch of other things that we did together before we even started to do the Community Fellows Program. There was a resource fair that you see pictured on the right-hand side of the screen here, where students were able to connect with representatives at PATH and other organizations and find out about internships or volunteer opportunities or other things. There were guest lectures, there were some site visits where we went downtown and got to visit, at PATH and meet some of the residents and some of the caseworkers there. When COVID-19 first began, with the outset of the pandemic, PATH was struggling to maintain some of their programs. And there was also a student group on campus known as Pancake Serving Up Hope, which is an awesome group. And we kind of connected the two of them. So they created this new program together, Pathways to Pancakes, where the student group that wasn't allowed to go downtown to kind of serve pancakes on the side of the road like they used to, could now go to PATH and serve meals safely in the context of the kitchen at PATH. So it was very good for both parties involved. And then the Community Fellows Program itself emerged partly because I was working on this research program over the summer, where I was going and interviewing folks who were previously or currently unsheltered here in San Diego. And a lot of clients from PATH, a lot of the caseworkers at PATH were folks who were part of my everyday interactions for that project. And as I mentioned to them that I was teaching this course with Mike in the fall, a lot of them said, wow, like that sounds so interesting. I've never heard of a course just on homelessness. I wish I could be part of that. And so this is kind of where the idea of the program first began. It was this idea, why couldn't they? Why couldn't we have community members, especially in the context of Zoom, be able to be part of the class? So in terms of the creation of the program itself, this took quite a bit of time. Oh, there's a little image of us visiting downtown in PATH. But the creation of the program itself took a bit of time. And so it involved conversations with the folks at the Mulvaney Center to find out what had worked previously with community engaged projects like this in the past and what hadn't. It involved obviously conversations with different folks at PATH to find out what would be meaningful and beneficial for the folks there. It also involved kind of reading some more literature in the field of transformative pedagogy to think about what does it mean to do work that really breaks down this academic bubble and that is transformative for everybody who's involved. So this was some of the kind of preparation that it took before we actually launched the application for the program. And so individuals were able to apply to be part of our class. We ended up having 6 people who were selected as community fellows, 4 from PATH and 2 from other partner organizations here in San Diego. So these are people who are caseworkers, who are legal advocates. There were, I think, 3 of our 6 fellows either had past or present experience of being unsheltered. So a really rich set of perspectives that they brought into our classroom. And when the class first began, we made sure to sit down with all of the fellows and find out what they wanted to get out of the class themselves. We set up learning outcomes for them. We made sure that we found ways to support them personally and professionally throughout the course as well. And we had our 2 instructors, our 27 undergraduate students, and these 6 community fellows. So a lot of our time in class was spent really developing a sense of community at first, and then building on that in the weeks that followed. So we used a lot of breakout rooms where students were in consistent teams, but the fellows would rotate between the different groups and get to know different groups of students over time. So everyone really got to know everybody else over the course of the semester. I would also stress just the need for flexibility with a program like this. So making sure that we did surveys, at key points in the semester to see how things were going for everybody who was involved, doing one-on-one check-ins with each of the fellows as well, and then just kind of tweaking things wherever necessary to make sure that everybody's needs were being met. So in terms of the outcomes of the class, this was some of the feedback. I'm not going to read these to you, but you're welcome to read them through yourself if you'd like, or pause the video. But these were some of the things that we heard from our students about what it felt like and what it meant to them to have the fellows in the class. So thinking about the real world applicability of our academic lessons, thinking about the career experience or the career insights that they gained from talking to different fellows in different lines of work. Also expanding their own sense and awareness of their own privilege and the ways that they can support others or shift systems in a way that would promote justice as opposed to just charity and kind of giving things. So really meaningful experiences across the board for our students. And likewise, from the fellows, we heard a lot of really positive feedback about the relationships that they were able to build with others in the class. Excuse me. They talked a lot about how the academic lessons also really resonated with what they were seeing in the real world, and provided some kind of academic framing for some of the things that they were experiencing on a day-to-day basis. Some of them described this as a healing space for them, a space where they could come and talk about things that were coming up at work that otherwise they wouldn't necessarily have a meaningful space to talk through. And also really a sense of hope and inspiration, seeing our wonderful USD students who are really taking what the fellows had to say so seriously, and really wanting to change things to promote better social justice, to create a better world for all so that people are not living on the streets any longer. And so I just wanted to kind of end by saying a little bit about the sustainability of this program, which I think is super important, that it doesn't just become a program that happens once and then becomes dusty and filed away in some cabinet. All of the fellows who were part of the pilot program this past fall have been invited to actually serve as some of our research associates for the spring. So they're going to be working with us on different research projects that are grounded here in San Diego. So we'll keep a relationship going with all of them. They didn't have to, but they all opted in. They were all interested in doing that. We'll keep a relationship going with those 6 individuals in that way. And then the program itself will be able to repeat every time that we are able to teach the course again, which should be at least once every academic year. So that way we'll be able to continue recruiting new people, into this program, but also, shifting it as necessary as hopefully COVID goes away or other needs emerge at path. We can kind of, take the program in slightly different directions. So I hope it's been helpful to hear a little bit more about the program today. Thank you so much for watching and take good care of yourselves. Bye-bye.